Here's all of our audio gear in studio. So we have quite a big selection, and there's more, but these are the current kind of faves of what we're up to. What I would say is, like, when you're thinking, all right, I'm going to go shoot video, I would immediately also think, all right, I need some audio gear. So the rig that I recommend is this rig right here. It's already kind of fully set up. We got the Canon R8, and we have the adapter, and then the 24-70 Canon L lens. So it's a very good lens, a pretty expensive lens. I think they're like, I don't know, like around $2,000. The adapter and then the camera body. So it's a really nice package. And then from there, we have the Rode mic on top. So this is a wireless rig that connects to, this is the receiver, this is the transmitter. So you can use this lav mic, so the lavalier microphone has a clip, so it's like an alligator clip, and then this bundle of wire, and you want to kind of try to do your best to keep it neat when you're packing up. But you run this through clothing and clip it on your subject and make sure it's not in hair and not rumbling up against the body or the neck, and then you get the mic as close as you can to the subject. That's the best way to record audio. So there's that. And then the other way that you can set up is we have these, like, it's just plastic, and then this transmitter has its own microphone built in. So you can plug the lavalier mic here, or it's got a mic in it. And then it's got this clip that you either clip to clothing right here on the back, or a channel that the clip slides into on the top of this microphone. It just slides right in and bottoms out here. And then we have, they're branded Rode. It'd be cool if we get some Shawnee TV ones, or different branding, just clean one. And then now you have this wireless package that you could take this and this out into the field and interview people very quickly. So this is a really nice run and gun rig. So 9 times out of 10, this is what I'm going for if I'm like, oh, I got to go shoot a video quickly. And then if I wanted to go, like a sit-down interview, I wouldn't do this. I would do this, and these two I would take out in the field, and I'd be ready to rock. So that's the run and gun style. There's a couple other things that are inside the pack. So here's another Canon R8 camera, right? Two same cameras. I'll swap some things right in here. And rather than having the Rode mic mounted on top, we mount the JuicedLink. And now this is a wired package. Now these are no longer able to be purchased. And they make different kinds of these types of boxes that are like for wired mics. So let me go over here and grab a wire. We actually need a bunch of wires. So you need this wire to connect the JuicedLink to the camera, and this wire to connect the microphone to the JuicedLink. But just a quick bit about the JuicedLink. This is the best box that I've ever seen. And before I was working in education, I was an audio engineer, and I worked with a bunch of really, really expensive preamps, which is what this thing is. Thousands of dollars, $5,000 preamps. And these were like $200 each. Unfortunately, the company JuicedLink, they infringed upon, or somebody said they infringed upon. Basically, I think 2 companies were shooting for the same technology, like some kind of wireless technology, and the other company patented it first, and they sued JuicedLink, and JuicedLink had to go out of business. It's kind of a tragedy, but back in the day, they used to have a video that compared this to like $5,000 preamps, and this audio device is just perfectly clean, amazing audio. We've had students who've like really messed up and like had too low of audio levels, like this was turned all the way down, and coming out of the JuicedLink into the camera, and we cranked it up in post-production, and there was like no noise on it. So this is like one of the most least noisy preamps that I've ever used, and they were kind of cheap, and we have a bunch of them, so we're going to keep using them, and they're pretty cool. So it's got 2 XLR, so you can put 2 different types of mics. So if you wanted a shotgun mic, you can mount that up on top. It's got this little mount on top, and then if you wanted a handheld to go, or even a lav mic, you could do. We have wired lav mics where that's something I should grab too. Grab that. So we have these wired lav mics, so you go inside the pouch, And then they look kind of like this, and this is actually wrapped up a little too tight. We don't want it to have this bend in it. It's not good for the cable. But this, and then an XLR, and then you connect that to the XLR cable, which connects to the JuicedLink, and that's a really, really high-end quality sounding interview. So these types of microphones you'll see in the professional world, the Shure, I think they're SM53s. And here we have the this JuicedLink nice preamp. That combination is it's killer. It sounds so good. And then I said, like, we have these things, shock mics, shock mounts, where you can slide the, I lost the elastic piece. You can slide a shotgun mic into these, and then this can mount up on top of the camera. So this is kind of like another run and gun rig, where you have the microphone, and then we have small 3-foot cables. I should have grabbed that. That goes into the camera here. I'm gonna grab that. So we're gonna grab the shotgun mic and line up the XLR pins. Slide that on top, and then there's a little screw that you tighten down, so tightens everything so that's not going to fall off. And we're going to take this XLR cable and patch it either left or right. I'll patch right, and now I have on the right side a shotgun mic. I have to get my battery, so the battery tray is on the back here. You use your fingernail, pick that up, and then you're going to grab a battery. So these are 9-volt batteries. There's a large side and a small side. And it's bigger and smaller. And same thing in the tray. You have a large side and a small side, so make sure you line them up. There's a spring, so you're going to put the back up against the spring and push the spring in, and then now you got big and small. And then you're going to patch that to the box, and I can turn it on, and now we got some lights. And it says the low battery light's on because I pulled it off a charger and the chargers weren't plugged in, so you know, that's not good. But we can see that we're getting audio coming in the right side. And then to send the audio out, we have to have this cable, and I use the right angle one versus the straight one here. So we want mic level out. Also note there's a phones out, but that's for headphones, and we're actually not even going to use that. We're going to use the headphones in the camera. So we're going to put bang to there. And then on the side of the camera, there's a mic jack. And we're going to patch to the mic jack. There. And then now there's a headphone jack that's still open. And we're going to patch headphones. So like I said before, you can patch to this, but then you're not hearing what that card is actually recording. So you always want to patch headphones into the camera. And our old cameras didn't have headphone jacks, but these new cameras, all of them do. So we're just like, I'm probably just going to put tape over this so that we always patch the camera. And then, is there a battery in this camera? No. Let's get the battery in and turn it on. I'll flip this guy over. And unfortunately, I don't have a card in this either, but let's see what happens. So I'm going to go here. I'm in video mode. I'm going to set my lens to the lens position. And I'm going to take the cap off. And then we have some configuration to do here in the audio side of things. So my table started off kind of neat, but it got messy real quick. Okay, so this is a little bit better of an angle. Still have our low bat light, and we had to rifle through some settings to make sure that our audio levels were on the screen. Now I'm looking at this and I'm noticing a problem, and I kind of fixed it and then put it back. So when I set up this cable, so it's going microphone on top. I'm gonna tilt up here. We have the shotgun mic, and then out of the XLR port, we got this little like 3-foot cable, patches in on the side. So we're seeing it right levels here. So if I scratch on the mic, we're seeing it only on the right side because I only plugged it in on the right. If you had a second mic, you would see things on the left side. And then out of the JuicedLink box, we're going into the Canon. And if I'm looking at the meters on the Canon, I'm going to bring this a little closer. You can see it better. the meters on the Canon, they're only metering for a little bit of levels. And it's, if I info, let me make sure they're up. There they are. So we're seeing metering on left and right. So that's telling me that this thing was not plugged in correctly. So I want to make sure that I plug it all the way in. So I got it to kind of like there, and then there, still no, and then all the way to the click. And now it's in, and I lost my metering. There it is. Okay, cool. So I'm only seeing it coming on the right side like I am seeing it up on the JuicedLink here. So that's where we need to be. So it's right side only, right side only. And if you're listening to your headphones, you got to pay attention because there's a red right side. So flip the headphones around, red right, and no color on the left. And there's a little indicator on some of the headphones. You can see it's a R and then a left here. So you're only going to hear it out of the right side when you have this on. Now this rig right here, the shotgun, the JuicedLink, the XLR cable, seems a little complicated, but it's my kind of second favorite rig. So I would say you go wireless just so it's easy. But then once you, like if it's critical, like you're interviewing the principal or you're interviewing the president of the United States, whatever it is, you want to make sure you get the audio best. You probably, maybe don't want to go wireless. You probably want to go wired so that you know that the signal is going to pass. And then here's a couple other things, like we're relying on batteries. So there's a battery in here that's low. There's a battery in here. There's battery, like these have lithium ion batteries in them and they need to be charged or else they won't work. So there's a lot of little steps along the way that you have to pay attention to. But this rig right here is my second choice. So first choice is wireless in this rig. Second choice is JuicedLink with the shotgun mic or a handheld mic. So let's say you don't want to use the shotgun and like you're just aiming this mic at whatever you're trying to get sound from. This is a very aimable microphone. So I'll just set this aside for now. The next rig that we might use would be our SM58 microphone. So note it's got a big old dent in it. These things are built kind of like hammers. You'll see them all over the world on stages. It's a very good microphone that singers use and reporters will use, and they're just kind of like a workhorse kind of microphone. So I have XLR plugged in to the back side. So the mic has male, and then we're looking for female XLR, and then on this side it goes to male, and then male goes to female in the JuicedLink. And now we're patching again to that right side, and if I tap on it, you're seeing levels on the right. We should also see levels in camera. And when you're miking with these, you can address the microphone. So let me see if I can get in camera here. You can address the microphone kind of close and it'll be very bassy. So like some singers will do that intentionally and maybe even cupping over the mic. You don't want to really do that. You want to hold it kind of down here, and you don't really want to cover your face when you're doing video. You probably want to be kind of like down here, like I usually say elbow at a right angle. So something like this, maybe like 10 inches away from your mouth, and then you want to set your level on the JuicedLink so that you're hidden accordingly. And if we're looking on our metering here, we want to get our levels to about that green dot. So it's like 3/4 of the way up the meters. You also definitely want to wear headphones. I'm not wearing headphones right now, so I can't hear myself. Let's patch the headphones. I'm going to put the right on the right side. And if I listen in and my headphone levels are a little low, so I can click on the screen, touch here, or Q setting first, touch here, and then move my headphone levels way up. And now I hear them, especially if I get very close to the microphone, but we don't want it to go in the red, that's clipping. So right about here, I hear myself. I'm metering right around 12 on the meter. Let me see if I can show you that closer. So when I go to that screen, if I hit the Q, and then there's the volume screen. You could see if I go all the way up, it's clipping. That's not good. We want it to be right around that 12 mark, and you can see it on the smaller meters there on the screen. And also we're wearing headphones so we can hear it. So ultimately, you want to wear headphones. That's like you looking at this screen to make sure the picture looks good. You're wearing headphones so you can hear that the sound sounds good. It's half of the experience for the audience. To get the sound right is like critical important. If you don't get the sound right, you'll probably have to reshoot whatever it is that you're doing. So it's, you know, important that you get a JuicedLink, that you're using a wired system, so you're less reliant on some of the wireless tech, and you're getting really good sound with this device, with a shotgun mic. This device here, it's a longer rig. Put it in the background there. And then definitely, this is probably the best case, so I'm going to unplug my SM58 mic, and I'm going to grab the XLR and my lavalier rig. And please don't do this. I'm glad it was actually on camera, because we don't want it to be wrapped like that. That's too tight of a bend on this cable. And note, it's got a memory now, because there's copper. Copper will kind of have this memory effect. And then we're going to take these two, patch them together, and now you have, I can hear it already in my headphones because I'm still wearing them, this lavalier. So the lavalier, you want the dot to be facing away from your subject, and then this clip here, we're going to unclip, and it's just a little kind of a C shape, and the cable presses into the C shape. So depending on the shirt, now buttoned shirts, sometimes it'll go one direction or the other, but you want this clip to kind of be facing away from the shirt with the microphone pressed into the clip. So if I'm putting this on my body now, or if my shirt's, you know, I can clip this on like that, and then this has to face away from the body. So that's you want this to not be in hair. You don't want it to be kind of tangled up or pressing against skin or the neck. So it's kind of important to pay attention to where that little dot is and clip this on to whatever it is that you're recording. Sometimes we don't use these on people. Sometimes I'll clip these to stage microphones. If somebody is, I don't want to tap into the PA system of whatever I'm working with. I'll just pull a good audio close to whoever's speaking, and I'll clip this so you don't see it, and then run the cable down and run a cable back to my camera. So this rig right here, lavalier microphone with a 25-foot XLR cable or plus, and you can piggyback XLR cable however long you need it. It'll send audio very long distances with no signal problems. And then the JuicedLink into the camera, whatever camera system that you're using. This is the best rig that I choose to use if I'm recording audio. This will get me the highest sound quality. I can hear it right now. I'm still wearing headphones. If I put the microphone close to my face, and you can kind of see the levels go up a little bit. It's very pristine. It sounds perfect. So this is the best rig, the Shure SM58 into a JuicedLink, and then out of the JuicedLink into the camera, and then out of the camera listening with headphones, so that we get perfect audio. So again, let me just do another recap here. We have my 9 out of 10 like stuff. If I'm doing for a run and gun situation, I'll use the Rode and this 24-70 lens. If I want perfect audio, I might use a 24-70 lens on a different camera, like this one with the JuicedLink, or I'll use probably like a Rokinon, and there's other videos that show you like more cinematic looks. And then the JuicedLink is what I'm thinking for getting perfect sounding audio. And I can use a shotgun microphone, or a lavalier microphone, or a handheld microphone. So that's recording with the camera. I'm going to have to do clean up my table a little bit and talk about some of the other stuff that's on the table. Okay, so I'm in the middle of the tutorial, and I started to clean up, and I was going in to explain some additional things. But there's a lot of little cleanup things that I figured would be good to talk about. One of the things is a safety thing. So as of right now, if you can see, this cable is still attached, and this camera can get easily, like somebody walks by, hits the cable, and this thing will hit the floor. So you always want to have hands on camera and never want to have cables attached to camera and them sitting all kind of at a height with nobody attending to it. So the safest place for gear is on the floor in a case, because it can't fall any further. But if it's at a height and somebody bumps into something, it's a dangerous situation, and you know, you have to, you know, cover the cost of repairs or replacement. It's just a whole thing. So first thing I wanted to go over was just kind of breaking down this JuicedLink rig, because I set it up but didn't break it down. So we're going to pull the cable out. That's the thing that gets lost, so that's going to go in the case on the floor. I don't have one up here. I'm going to unscrew this little circular thing. I'm going to pull that out, and then that's, you know, grab your battery out too. And it all goes back on the charger. This goes in the case. And then my headphones. So I see students sometimes, they'll wrap headphones around the headphone band, and it turns into this. It's like wrap, 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 and then it takes forever for somebody to take it and unwrap it. So don't do that. What we'll do is we'll just take it, and you're going to take this cable and just do a little over top of your hand, you know, kind of like a little rig like that, and then set it in the case as well. And one more bit, because we have this lavalier mic that's like the best mic that we have in the studio, the closest mic that you can get. But this cable had a little bit of a bend on it, and I'm going to undo my XLR. I'll go over wrapping XLR in a second as well. And what we do with these is I usually start about where the XLR connector connects to the micro XLR, so that kind of comes together. You don't have to undo that. There's a little button that ejects that, but you don't really need to ever take that apart. I just wanted to show it. And then here I usually just get my hand and I do a light loose wrap around my hand. So I'm using, this is the technique that I want to show you with the XLR cable too. I'm using one hand to put the coil, so I'm spinning the cable kind of almost like snapping your fingers, where you spin the cable with your fingers to put the little loop into the cable. And if I don't do that, like if I hold it tight and I go to put it around my hand, it turns into a figure eight. You guys see that? So I'll show you with the XLR cable as well, but we just want to do a little spin each time, and then I use the alligator clip to clip it all together so that it's not a mess in the bag. And now we have this, and this goes back in the bag kind of like this, and then zip it up. And now it's nice and neat. Now XLR cable is another thing. So I'm going to take the XLR cable, and we're going to take the same technique. So if I'm holding this cable, I usually use my right hand and have the end of the cable hanging over my pinky, and I use my hand like a hook. And I use my left hand and I spin the cable each time, because if I don't, it turns into that. There's my figure eight. But if I do, it turns into a perfect coil each time. So I'm coiling as I wrap. Each wrap gets its own kind of twist. And this is actually kind of a smaller wrap, but it'll fit nice in the case. I usually go a little bit bigger than that. And it depends on how far apart you put your hands to wrap it. As long as you do it the same each time, you'll have the same coil each time. And you're going to work your way all the way through the coil. Now, a 25-foot cable, it's about 10 or 15 of these motions. And if you learn how to get this wrapping thing down, you can get a cable done in like 10 seconds or less. You know, some people, they look at this and they're like, and this is actually, see, it's got a little bit of that weirdness in it. That's actually too short, so I'm actually going to wrap it one more time. And I'll do a longer one, slightly longer. And this cable actually has some bad memory to it, so it's got a little bit of a kind of imprint on it. But there we are through the cable, and then it looks like this. So that's a good perfect wrap. And then you can, now the other thing, I have this Velcro here, and you can use rope or Velcro, but Shure makes it, they come with each of the microphones. So we have a bunch of these in the studio. And there's like a piece that kind of peels off and then wraps back to the cable. So I always do it on the male side, because that's the side that goes to like the JuicedLink or to the mixing console, and it's out of the sight of the audience, so that the female side where the microphone is, you don't have this like wrappy stuff like hanging out and looking sloppy. So then now that I have it around just one side of the cable, it looks like this, and I can put it around the other side of the cable and just Velcro the whole thing together. Now this rig right here is so easy to put in a bundle of cables once we stack like a bunch of cables together in like a crate, and then pull it out and get right to work. Now if you don't use tying on each of your cables, and this works for extension cords, Christmas lights, definitely for audio cable. I want to have a tether on every single one of the cables, so if there isn't one in the studio, just let me know and we'll fix that. But this is going to save everybody, the next person who has the equipment especially, lots of time, because they're not dealing with knots. They don't have cables that are all tied up, and especially if you bend the cable too much, there's copper inside of here, and the copper has a memory to it. It's like chewing gum. You can stretch it and it gets thinner. If I can show you the copper, pull this back. So there's 3 conductors inside of here. There's a sheath that wraps around the cable, and that's why you can run it long distances. It takes radio frequencies and different other interference and kind of puts it to a ground, and then that doesn't get recorded in your audio. It's like around the other 2 cables. And then there's a black and white cable, and there's like a push and a pull of electrons that go down this cable that goes to the preamp, and then the preamp boosts that signal and puts it into your recording equipment, whether it's a camera or another recording system. So the moral of the story here is, if you treat the cables with this type of care, they'll last forever, theoretically. And if you don't, they don't last that long. And a cable's about $1, if not a little bit more a foot to replace. So a 25-foot cable like this is about $25. So that's the cable breakdown stuff. And then I'm going to pause up and reframe so that we can get the rest of this audio tutorial finished up. Okay, so the first portion of this video was basically trying to get audio into the camera. So all the audio comes in through this port where it says mic, and we're recording the audio to an SD card. Now, I'm going to remove the camera from the equation, and the rest of this tutorial is going to be kind of going through some of your other options. So you might have a separate system. Sometimes it's really good to have audio going into the camera and just it's all on the card and it's easy enough, and especially if it's supposed to lip sync with what's going on, it's all done. But we have these other devices that can go into computers, and we also have another device that records separately onto an SD card, so that's this right here. So I guess when I would use these and how much I use each of these is kind of how I've been going with these tutorials. So like, it's kind of like the 90% of the time thing. The 90% of the time, I'm probably wireless into the camera. Another, that 10% of the time, or, a lot of the time, I'll use a shotgun mic and the JuicedLink box and go into the camera. But then there's times where I want to just record voiceover. Like it's voiceover and the video already exists. So you can use this microphone here, which has on the back a USB port, and it USB ports into the computer, and then you have to set it up in whatever recording software that you're using. So there's that. Then there's this, which is a higher quality, so you can use this and maybe a shotgun mic, and we even have some condenser mics like shotgun mics in the studio and a pop filter that you put in front so that you don't create plosives, which are like when you say a P or a B, it blasts air into the microphone, and then you get this kind of like loud rumbly thing. So there's a screen that goes in front of that, and then this. So I would maybe use this and one of these, or we have this for voiceover as well. So this is a new addition. It's kind of like a podcast style microphone. If you want the mic in the shot kind of look, it looks kind of cool. And if you get close to this mic and crank it up on the gain here, it sounds pretty good. So there's like this system where you can plug, and it's got an XLR cable that runs the length of the gooseneck here, and then you plug that in off of the bottom. You can grab the cable and you can patch here. And then with these boxes, this box and this box, there is a computer output cable. So there's a USB cable that goes from here to the computer, and then you'd have to set it up within the software. So this rig's a pretty good rig. And then we have this box here. So this is like the newest edition. This requires special software for it to work. So it's not as user-friendly as this one. I'd have to load software on every computer, and I don't have the admin privileges to do that easily. And this is something that we just got in studio, but it is the best sounding preamp we have. So just like the JuicedLink is like the best sounding preamp we have for like run and gun, this is like the best sounding studio preamp that we have. So if you're recording like very high quality music, this was a very nice rig to have in your studio. And it's very simple. Like you can plug in a guitar, it has headphones on this side, on the back side it's got XLR inputs just like this one has two, this one has two, and it's got some outputs for studio monitors, and then it's got a special kind of USB-C plug that this had to be a special kind of cable. So it's kind of like the most finicky rig that I've seen with. I actually had to buy this cable separate. It didn't come with the device. So, but once you get it up and running, one, the preamps sound amazing. Two, this has built-in, it's called DSP, Digital Signal Processing. So this company, Universal Audio, has some really amazing plugins at a reasonable price that you can run the plugin, and rather than it tax your computer, like especially if you're running on a laptop and you're like a mobile musician or a mobile recording artist, you can patch, and this would take some of the load off the computer. So this guy is a really cool device. So it's Universal Audio Apollo Solo. So I would say in like terms of quality, highest quality would be this and maybe this, or this with this. Any kind of, these are called condenser microphones. This is actually a dynamic microphone, which is like the way the microphone is designed. This has a magnet. It's a magnet and a coil wire. This has two charged plates, and there's actually phantom power. So on each of these devices, there's a plus 48 volts. You see plus 48V, and on here there's a plus 48V button. So phantom power has to be turned on for condenser microphones. There's a couple in studio, and you have to be careful with some, and we don't have any, but there's ribbon microphones. If you put phantom power to a ribbon microphone, it's not good for the microphone. So just, I always leave phantom power on all of our equipment, because when it's off, these type of microphones won't work. These still will, but I usually get somebody saying, hey, this microphone isn't working, is it broken? And I always say, is the phantom power turned on? So this device also has the phantom power where it's always turned on. So basically, condenser microphones is probably the higher quality than the dynamic mic, but this is a really good dynamic mic, especially when you get close to it and really crank it up. The other device here, last case that I'm discussing, because I rarely use this, if ever really. I bought it to try to take the place of this JuicedLink back here, but it's kind of like the least user-friendly thing that I have in the studio. As an audio engineer and somebody who understands equipment pretty good, I had to break out the manual to try to get it to do what we wanted. We wanted to try to get 4 channels in, because it's supposed to be able to record 4 separate different audio channels. We had like a podcast where 4 people were talking, and it was just not easy to work with. So I don't know quality of the preamps, because again, I don't use it very often. It's probably like a lower quality preamp with a lot of features, and it's kind of like you have to really probably study the manual and really work with it in order to get this guy to do what it needs to do. It has batteries, so that's kind of cool. You can take it on the road. It doesn't require power. We have a rechargeable battery rig that it's different than the JuicedLink. These are AA batteries rather than 9 volts, but that's kind of the whole studio worth of stuff that we have available in like priority order. And then I'll say one more thing. I'm recording on a cell phone right now, and I'm actually using the built-in stuff. Like there's no cables attached to my cell phone. Cell phones have come a long way. They do pretty good stuff. It's easy to touch on the screen. It's kind of like I can get closer focus than I can if I'd have to swap lenses to do. So it's kind of like a jack of all trades. It has multiple lenses built into it. I could switch to them if I'm zooming on the screen. So I wouldn't discount using a cell phone for video and for audio. Audio actually doesn't sound bad if you're standing right close to the cell phone. They're designed to sound really good because we use cell phones to talk to each other. But this guy here, I have one of these. It's a Bluetooth, I believe. Maybe it's not. I don't know the wireless, but or like what technology it is that is used for wireless. But it's an iPhone connection, and then there's two, so you can have like two people using it talking, and I don't know how long of a distance it goes, but this is, I guess, the charging case, and then you put these on your Talon, or you can use them as handheld, and you can do wireless audio into a cell phone at a distance away from the cell phone, because the cell phone mic doesn't do good if you move any further away. And then there's this USB-C port to charge this rig. So if you ever want to use this, let me know. But that's kind of the array of tools that we have available in studio to record audio. I know that these tutorials are long, but this is kind of like wrapping up my here's what we have series of what I would do 9 times out of 10, where I would go and what I would grab, and how to get high quality looking and sounding files. And then from there we get into kind of polishing and getting into how to edit that stuff and craft it for the audience. But overall, I think within a couple days of being in the studio and watching some of these videos, getting your hands on the equipment is what you want to do. You definitely want to use each and everything. If that's you like to play with different things, go for it. Use all of it and test and see what works best for you. And then from there, you can make a decision if you want to purchase this stuff if you're producing media outside of the program. So hopefully this helps, and it's been fun making them.